Tracking the aftermath of Hurricane Ida. The storm not only posed a danger to people, but also to animals.
That's why the Jacksonville Humane Society took in a fraction of the animals that had to be evacuated from a shelter in Gulfport, Mississippi. As many as 50 dogs were relocated, dropped off in Tampa, Daytona Beach, and here in Jacksonville. News 4 Jax reporter Eric Avanier explains why there was such an urgent need to get the dogs out of the shelter before the hurricane got closer to the Gulf Coast.
The shelter where those dogs were evacuated from is less than a mile from the coastline, and I'm told that low-lying area is prone to flooding during storm surge. So members of the Charleston, South Carolina Animal Society volunteered to pick the animals up and drop them off at shelters like this one here in Jacksonville. It's just after 2:45 in the afternoon, and this truck that drove from South Carolina to Mississippi to evacuate 50 dogs from a Gulfport shelter and bring them to shelters in Florida is making its last stop in Jacksonville. Most of the dogs were dropped off in Tampa and Daytona Beach. The Jacksonville Humane Society agreed to take the last 5 dogs.
We typically don't support bringing animals into Florida because it's a pretty tough state all by itself. But if we can relate to anything, we can relate to a hurricane.
A Category 4 hurricane that was headed towards southeast Louisiana, but was so big that southwestern Mississippi would also be impacted by the threat of coastal flooding. Evacuating these shelter dogs became a priority given the shelter's proximity to the coastline.
So their shelter is actually located very closely to the Gulf. You can actually almost see the Gulf from their shelter. So they wanted to make sure they got out as many animals as they could, not knowing what was coming.
The smart thing to do was to get the dogs and cats out ahead of the storm, which they did.
You love me.
The dogs brought here to Florida are all in good shape and ready for adoption or to be placed into a foster home until they can find a new forever home. The Jacksonville Humane Society shelter was already at maximum capacity when they accepted these new additions. So to help ease the capacity, all adoption fees have been waived until further notice. The Humane Society says if you can't adopt or foster an animal, donations would help because there is a lot of adoptable animals to feed. While we were not able to get the names of the 5 dogs, I noticed they all appeared to be very approachable and friendly with people. In fact, one was all about giving kisses and hugs to her handler. And all of the dogs appear to be very comfortable on a leash. Eric Avanier, Channel 4, the local station.